Next, we will have Obaapanyin Demay.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
So, we've had an interesting discussion. I know John hasn't spoken yet, but I believe that what Prof has spoken about and what Mommy has also spoken about ties in with what I'm about to also talk about. Because it's at this stage that you can actually navigate mental health, you can observe, navigate violent streaks and narcissism and bullying and blackmailing and all those things at the time of dating. So I'm going to talk about dating, the sex revolution. When I saw that, I thought, what is sex revolution? Because I think that it's always been the same and it hasn't changed. And whatever revolution people want to bring about is destructive to humanity. There's nothing new under the sun, as King Solomon said in Ecclesiastes. And so I want to focus more on dating. I'm going to talk about what dating is not. And then I'm also going to establish the first fact that dating is not a European thing. It's universal. Every culture has their own cultural dating, but dating is universal. I also want to make a clarification. There's a difference between going on dates and dating. That's one thing that I think, especially in this part of the world, we confuse, that going on dates is just hanging out with people. Could be your sibling, it could be your friends, it could be anyone. That's hanging out. It could be a group going out on dates. However, dating, when you say two people are dating, then it connotes another meaning. So dating is not just spending time with somebody or going out with your friends. That's going on dates and nothing else. Now, the confusion, what dating is not. Your acquaintances are not your dates. You know, sometimes people, you come across people, maybe you sit in a car all the time, or you take a certain route and you meet somebody all the time, or in your classroom, or at work, or, you know, you get an acquaintance with someone. And somehow, because maybe the person smiles or asks you a few questions, sometimes people misinterpret it. So does this person want to date me? I hear that a lot, you know, on the counseling table. And sometimes people get very hurt, very disappointed because they assumed that the other person was interested beyond acquaintanceship. And they find out. So an acquaintance is just somebody you meet casually. You don't necessarily look for them, or, you know, you meet them whenever you meet them. If it's on the bus, you know, in a taxi, trotro, when you go for your walks, or on your way upstairs to your office, you meet them at a particular time. Hello, good morning, how are you? Rainy day, eh? Da, da, da. Like just conversations, and you go away. Now, dating someone is not friends. Your friends cannot be people you say you're dating. Then that would be tantamount to polygamy, I think, on another level. So your friends are not necessarily people. You can't say that you are dating someone because they are your friend, because you have so many friends, both male and female, you know. Then they're not your colleagues. No matter how nice your colleague is, it doesn't mean you are dating them. If your colleague asks you to go out for lunch once or twice, that doesn't mean you're going on a date, but that doesn't mean you're dating them. Fellowship members are not your dates. They may hang out with you every now and then or be nice to you because you are in fellowship. How else should they show the love of God? I'm saying this because I think this, especially in the ecclesia, there's a lot of part of the confusion about he hurt my feelings, she hurt my feelings, is based on these misunderstandings. Whether young or old, as long as you're single. And sometimes those that are very dire and really not matured at all, even spiritually, might say that somebody's husband or wife is interested in them because of some of these things. Just a smile, just an encouragement here, just talking here. Oh, does a man want to date me? Does a woman like me? No, that is not it. So it's also not the agape love. Then otherwise we would not be able to be friends or be brothers and sisters or be nice to anyone. It is also not assumptive postures. We don't assume to be dating. If it's a dating, it is dating. There should be no assumptions. I think, I'm not sure now. Dating, when you're dating someone, is very specific. And I'll tell you why. Your watchwords today that I want you to look out for as I'm speaking is love. I want you to look out for knowing. Knowing. I want you to look out for lust. And I want you to look out for safety. These are the 4 words I want us to look out for in terms of dating people. Safety, knowing, lust, love. Because I think these are very confusing also sometimes. Now, what is dating? Dating is a stage, universally, it's a stage of romantic relationships where 2 people spend time together, often with the intention of evaluating their romantic compatibility and potentially developing a more serious relationship. Now, there, in this definition, is all the red flags. Because if you're going to date on the basis of what is romance, okay, so for me, I think the dictionary, the Wikipedia definition throws it off balance. That's where the confusion comes. Because where 2 people spend time together, often with the intention of evaluating their romance. Romance hasn't happened. So how do you evaluate romance when it hasn't happened? Based on what are you? So it means that they are assuming that dating, you would have entered into some kind of romantic posture. So what's the purpose of dating? Dating is a period of exploration and getting to know someone romantically. Again, I think it's wrong. Getting to know someone, yes. But as we go on, I'll explain why. To see if there's a potential for a deeper connection. So what is knowing? Getting to know someone. Because when the Bible talks about knowing, it goes beyond walking into fellowship and knowing that, oh, I know sister so and so, or I observe, I know the name, or because when the Bible talks about knowing, it is deeper than that. They that know their God is not just reading scriptures and coming to church. It's an exploration, like a koinonia, like an entanglement beyond the physical in every sense of it. So when it talks about, oh, I know, sometimes when we are doing engagements, they say, they ask you 3 times, do you know this person? And you say yes. Do you know this person? And that's because they are assuming the knowing of just, I know his name, I know where he lives, I have some semblance of friendship with this person. Now, what is deep? Hoping to have a deeper connection. What does it mean to have a deep connection? That's also something we need to try and disentangle in our own minds. And what is romantic? We all know what romantic is by the world's standard, But I want us to look at the breakdown of this perception and this definition of dating. The first point I would make is that dating or even building any kind of relationship or friendship should be on the three tiers of the human persona: spirit, soul, and body. You see that most of the definitions keep mentioning deeper, romantic. It's based on the physical. However, per revelation and per scripture and per the kingdom values, you can see that dating is the time when you bond and build with people on the three levels. Explore the three constituents of the person: spirit, soul, and the body being the last. Remember, it didn't say body. I didn't say body, soul, and spirit, which is what the first definition, the two definitions talk about. It's all on the body, the physical level. But dating is actually exploring people, soul, spirit, and soul, because it is from the inside. The spirit is unseen, the soul is unseen. If you do not build relationships from the inner to the outer, that's where the problems come. That's where you don't get to know people. We are too quick, too much in a hurry. Oh, she looks nice, he looks nice, he's a lawyer, she's a nurse, she's a doctor, the father is a pastor, the mother is this. It's all the flesh, external. So what is the dating perspective from the kingdom perspective and from God's perspective? It is getting to know the inner person, which is the God person within, which is the person's core value systems, the person's personality, God-given personality, not the external. Because the external can be deceitful. People can form personalities. People can acquire characteristics and personalities. And so that can be attractive, but is this the person is another matter. However, if you look at a human being, wanting to know the person inside, from the spirit and the soul. And when I say spirit, I'm not talking about scripture reading, because people can bombard you with scriptures and be very empty inside, or not even embody the scripture. The scripture is not made flesh in their lives. So you can't be deceived when you are getting to know people and they just quote scripture, you can say, oh, the person is born again. Yes, daddy. Yes, mommy. Oh, he's holy. She's holy. You hear these things. And some of us, by the time you hit 60, what be? Do you understand? And I'm speaking both from a spiritual perspective and also from experience of listening to other people and the mistakes I have made as well, and I've seen other people make as well. So dating, whether you are 60, you are 20, because there are people who my aunt got married at 62 for the first time. So she would have to also, it doesn't matter what age, and I always say that sin and weakness doesn't know age, doesn't know color, doesn't know size, doesn't know position. So I believe that this is not just for the youth, and even in terms of if we are married, if you can track back to your beginnings, you may be able to correct some things mutually and correct your mistakes. What the foundation that wasn't laid right can be fixed even at this point, even as you are in the marriage. And so you need to get to know the person's spirit. So when you say spirit, the spirit is the deepest layer of the human being, which is God-given. if you don't try and discover at least some of it, not all, because even in marriage, you're still discovering. But you must start to begin to remove the layers of the person's spiritual state. Remove the layers of the person's soul. And you know the soul is made up of the emotions, the heart, the intellect, the will of the person. And so if you don't work on relationships from all these facets at the dating stage, right, which is the first attempt at building a lasting relationship, then the troubles can start later as you go along. So dating can involve, and the other thing is that dating can involve activities of going out, spending time, talking, communicating. Now, bear in mind what I said. You look at it, the 4 words: knowing, love, lust. So as you're building, communicating, spending time, you're looking at all these 4 layers. Is your time spending based on lust or love? There's a quote that I put out, I think last year, that lust seeks to satisfy self. Love seeks to satisfy the other person. So in your activities of going out, spending time, hanging out, communicating, trying to get to know each other, is it only for yourself? Is it all about you? Or you are also taking into consideration the other person as well? So it involves activities like going out to eat, to have dinner, hang out with people, your friends, go for sports activities, because these things also help you to overcome the dangers of being with people that you are vulnerable to. If you are always together, tete-a-tete, in corners here, there, it increases your chances of sin. But if you're hanging out with other people, hanging out with friends, and this is something the ecclesia, I believe that for each fellowship can be worked out, because I have seen it work in places where you can have group dates and hanging out together, and you're not hanging out alone in your rooms and alone in your homes and all that. It also helps you to see your value system. It's very important during the dating time, because the activities, the entertainment also help you to identify people's personalities, where the state of their spirit, the state of their soul during entertainment, their tolerance levels, their inability to accept defeat in games, all these things prompt people. I think my time is up, right? So I would end it here. I'm sure questions would come up and then we can go on. So this is the thing that I have to share about dating. Thank you.